Today we are going to be looking at the Polar U series soft serve machine. So in particular we're looking at the UA034 and the UA088 models. What we're going to do is sort of do an unboxing. So this is what the machine will look like when you first arrives at your premises. We're going to look at accessories and how to do the first use. So we're going to start breaking the machine down, ready to give it a good clean, lubricate all the parts we need to, and then get it ready for first operation. So let's get into that. First thing to do is break off the molding caps. So these are a little bit stiff, but they do just pop off. These come in a variety of shapes depending on what style of ice cream you're looking to dispense. So these just pop off there, so we can put them to one side for now. Then you want to take off the units screw points. Now, rule of thumb is the larger ones go on the top and the shorter ones on the base. So these just screw off. Got one there. One here, and then we take off the shorter ones at the base. So I'll take these off. So yeah, if I notice there, you get short one and a long one. So long ones on the top, short ones on the bottom. From there, you can pull out the pin. Now this will house the dispensing handles later on, but we'll come back to that. Now we can take out the assembly. So on here, we rotate this around. We've got our seals. We've got some caps here. And of course, we've got the pushers here as well, the dispense pushers, which again, we'll come back to in a second. From here, we can take out the scrapers. So these have plastic ends here, which allow the unit to, as it rotates, basically push the liquid down the hopper and then obviously out the front. So these can be removed. And in the back, you've got some units with a seal. So again, these are in here. This essentially is attached to the motor, which turns, and then in turn turns out the spreader units there. So we take them out. So that is the machine disassembled, ready for cleaning and ready for lubrication and our first use. So now let's get into that. So now we've disassembled the machine as it comes in the box. We'll sort of run through and see exactly what we get. So first thing to note is you get your manual, and this is almost key. So this will break down everything we've spoken about today in more detail and also give you the names of the pieces of equipment, what you should do, and best practices as well as maintenance and so on and so forth. So really handy to have a read through this before you do anything else. Box of parts. So again, we get some spares, we get some essential parts and things we need to be able to have the machine operational. So as you can see in here, we get some O-rings, some sealers, we got some more caps, some spares and stuff like that. So again, handy to have. Lubrication. So again, food grade lubrication, very important, because what we want to do is seal the unit, make sure there's no leakages, and of course, make sure it lasts for as long as possible. Handy. As we mentioned earlier, we've got some spare dispenser caps. So these, again, depending on what sort of finish you're looking for in your ice cream. So it's good to have a little play around with them and just see what effects can be made using the different caps. They just pop on and replace the ones that are on the machine. Got the aerators in the top. So these essentially go into the top of the unit, and then you can adjust the volume of flow of basically of liquid that goes into the machine. So if a thicker liquid, you can adjust and so on and so forth. Again, if you're using a really thick solution or a mixture, then you may need to remove these altogether. However, normal sort of ice cream mixture, you're looking at adjusting the sensors on the top, and you basically got a hole here, which you twist the top bit and allows for the air hole basically to get larger or smaller depending on your application. As standard, they're sort of set to medium. So again, lubrication on here into the top in the unit, which we'll look at, and you're away to go. Handles. So again, these are very, very handy. Without them, the machine's not going to work. So yeah, in here, you've got our working handles, which essentially have 3 of them, go onto the machine itself and allow you to draw off the ice cream. And then all that can be gone to be cleaned, nice, warm, soapy water, and then ready to assemble for the first use. So what we'll do now is lubricate the parts, ready, and assemble the front unit here. So what we want to do first is I'll take off the seals here. So we've got 2 seals, and then just give these a bit of lubrication. So again, just run these through so they're nice. So this is going to help protect them and also give a nice seal, because we don't want any leakages, because obviously they'll leak from the machine. So put that back in situ. Make sure we've got a nice seal on here, and then do the same on this one. So again, protecting and making sure it's sealed. Put the button here. Now on the top here, you've got the pushers. So lift these out. So it should, I'll leave my hands out, pop out. 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you notice here, they look similar, but there's one black seal in here. So this is slightly different. Because this is sat in the middle, it's essentially stopping any liquid from cross-bleeding across. So it's important to note that that one with the line is in the middle, and then the other 2, the other side. So top tip there. Again, the rubber seals, just going to give them a bit of lubrication, make sure they're nice and clean, and they're going to seal nicely. Now again, best practice here as well, once the machine is new, is to wash all these parts thoroughly to make sure we've got any obviously delivery contaminants, anything that dust, that sort of stuff, so we're nice and clean, ready for our first operation. Seal up all the nice joints here so it's nice and clean, and of course with this one we want to make sure we're covering all areas that are where the rubber sits. So that's our 3 units. These can then go back into the house. So pop down. Again, making sure the dual unit there is in the middle, and then the other 2 either side. So nice and simple. So next then what we'll do is assemble the handles. So again, these come in the pack, taking them out of the pack, and you notice the bit on there, and that essentially sits into the hole. And what that allows it to do is, of course, as you pull the handle down, it's going to lift up the pusher and then allow the mixture to come out, or the ice cream. So what we'll do is put one in here, line it up so this comes across. There is a little bit of resistance there, but it should slide quite freely. Again, go in the middle one, coming across. And then finally, got the last one. Oops. Down here. And slide that across to the 3rd one. And then you should see it just start to come out the other end. And then assembly is complete for the handles. So you should be able to quite freely move the handles up and down, and that's where that lubrication on the seals is really going to come into its own and allow it to not to stretch or risk ripping the seal, which is what we're trying to achieve by doing that. So that's the next step done. So reassembly then of the machine. So we've cleaned all our parts, lubricated what we needed to so far. Now we're going to start the assembly process. So we've got the cupola units here, and then we've got the wave seals. So again, lubrication on there to give a nice seal edge. But there's essentially a square section where this unit goes into. And what this does is the machine turns, allows this to turn, and then in turn turns the unit itself and dispenses the ice cream. So we'll go ahead and put these in. And then the second one. So next up, you want to insert the beta units. So again, this is the unit here. So you can see the seal on here, which is in place. Obviously double check that's where it should be. It's not come loose in transit and what have you, because obviously you're not going to get full effect from the machine if they're not in the proper position. Got the front of the bit, and then we've got the shape there. So that's a good indicator, is that's the section that goes at the back to match to the coupler. So what we'll do, we can see through. Again, a bit of resistance there, but it should pretty much freely slide in. And then we're ready to go. there. So what you want to see is that little bit of resistance there, and it's almost like a spring effect. So once that's in and pushing back, essentially what that's doing is pressing the unit forward to make sure we're getting that nice seal. So a good indication it's in the right place is you're getting that pushback there. If you're getting solid resistance, it may mean that the coupler at the back is not lined up correctly, so it's worth checking that. So we'll go ahead and put the second one in. So you can see it here as well, like this is now not pushing back because it's not quite lined up correctly, whereas this one you've got that bit of resistance and that spring effect there. So what you can do is turn that slightly, and now it's locked in, and now you can see you've got that spring effect there as well. So they are now in their correct positions. So now we've ready to assemble the unit. We've got the spout seals in situ, lubricated up. We've got our stoppers, so they want to go with the larger flat end against the unit itself, and then these can then go into the hole in the top, and then onto the 4 locating threads at the top there. So once that's situ, again we come back to our screw units, our hand screws. So again, smaller, shorter ones at the base, and then the longer ones at the top. I'm going to try and make sure the face of the unit is as flush as can be, again to give us that nice seal that we're looking for to stop any liquids escaping. So you want to be decently, not too tight, just hand tight really. Once that's in place, you should be able to see down the side, and you'll see the seal pushing up against the unit, and then that's a good indication that the machine and the unit is in the right place. As you pull down, you can see nice, free, there's no resistance there, it's nice and smooth operation, which will allow us to dispense the ice cream. From there then, we can put on our end caps. So we're going to put the star ones on, which are the ones that came with the machine, and again, these just pop on. Again, they can be a little bit tough to begin with, just when they're new, but it does just pop on there. You just need to make sure they're flush, because you can think that they're on, but they're actually at a bit of an angle. So make sure they're on square, and you hear that nice clicking sound. So next what we want to do is then insert the expanding tubes. So again, these allow more or less mixture to go into the machine. As you turn the piece on the top, you can see this hole there getting smaller or larger, depending on which way you turn. What you want to do is take out the center part to lubricate the seals inside. So as we turn the top piece, there's a little notch which then allows the unit to come out, and then you've got 2 seals here which you want to lubricate and then push back in. What happens then is these will go into the top of the machine, ready for operation. Cool. And then last but not least, got the drip tray to go on the front, so it's the slots in place there, and then of course we've got our lids which goes on top. And that's it. Now the machine is ready to plug in, ready to operate. So now the machine is fully assembled, we are ready to go. What we need to do is we've got our water here. We've removed the expanding tubes from inside the hoppers, and we want to fill the hoppers up to about a quarter, half full of cold water. And then what that is going to do is 2 things. It's going to allow us to flush the machine through, and it's also going to allow us to check for leaks as well. So make sure all our seals are intact and we've not got any issues there, because it's a lot easier to remove water than it is obviously if you filled it full of mixture. So let's do that now. Now the machine's got the water in it. Switch the machine on, wait for the loading screen to come up. Get a nice little picture there. And then what we're going to do is put the machine onto the wash mode. So reason for this, the machine's going to kick in, so the motor's now running, but we're not doing any chilling, any freezing. So it means that the water inside now is being agitated and being pushed towards the dispensing tubes here at the front. And then what this allows us to do is A, flush the machine through, and B, we're checking for leaks, as I mentioned. So far so good. We're not seeing any drips anywhere. All is well. So the next thing to do now is to grab your empty jug and essentially draw off each one individually, again to make sure that the seals are intact and to flush the system through, ready to put the cream mixture into. Do now is fill the machine up with our mixture. So notice I've taken out the tubes. So this is going to allow the mixture to free flow into the hoppers nice and freely without the risk of any air gaps. So we're going to put, for now, we're going to put 3 litres in. So this is pre-mix, Kamel's mix. Again, you can have it in different forms. That's the first one filled. So now we're going to fill the second one. What we're going to do now is put the lids back on just for a minute to stop any foreign bodies or any sort of contaminants getting in there while we bleed the machine before we put back in the tubes. So then you want to put your expanding tube back in. So I'm going to use the larger hole here. So I need to find the hole and then pop that in there. And what we've done on this side is we've put in a flavour. So we put it as a strawberry unit because obviously this is the twin machine and we could do mixed flavours. We put our lids back on. So we're going to do now, put the machine onto the freeze mode. The machine's going to kick in. And what I like to do as well is just draw off some mixture through the machine. And what this is going to do is essentially stop any air blockages, which could then stop the machine from operating. So I always draw a bit off through each, so basically it's filling any gaps with milk or the cream mixture. Do it on all 3. And then this can of course go back into the top of the machine so we're not wasting any. Notice on here, you've got your shape right here at 67%. When that reaches 100%, that is an indication that your ice cream is ready to go.